Welcome back to the Gospel Sports Truths Podcast. I hope you guys have had an excellent week. For those that missed the podcast last week, that was my fault. That wasn't your fault. You didn't miss us. We missed you. I was on vacation and my internet signal was subpar. So I do apologize about that, but we will ensure that we are doubly entertaining for you on this week. I'm your Jose, the fantasy football fiend, and I have my guy BK Wins. How let the people, my guy?
Hey y'all.
So BK man, there was a couple of things that just kind of struck me this week. I want to say this week over the last couple of days. So today, actually, I see it come across the blurb that President Trump did an executive order to make some changes in the landscape of NIL as far as college is concerned and how athletes can go about getting paid or the sources in which the funds can come from. I haven't had the opportunity to dive deep into that, but that came out of nowhere. I'm not sure if you saw that or not. Um, so it literally just came across the headlines maybe 45 minutes ago, and all that I saw was it had something to do with third-party payments. I'm pretty sure that's not everything that it has, to do with, but I'm pretty sure we'll be deep diving into that and giving our informed opinions on next week versus doing what other people do, which is fake outrage just because of the source. So we're going to actually deep dive into this a little bit, see what's what, and yeah, we'll be back to you with our opinions on that. But I do have a definitive opinion on something else. Any NFL team that refuses to get natural grass and players get hurt on their fields, they should be able to sue those teams for being cheap, for putting them in harm's way, for attempting to go about things in a more fiscally quote unquote responsible way, but not in a way that is more beneficial for the players on the field. Another year, another injury to the quarterback of the New York Jets. There's so many injuries on these turf fields that there has to be some correlation / causation at some point. And that's just kind of where I am now. Like, how many people have to get hurt on these fields in order for you to realize that you're losing more on your actual product by being cheap? Like, I don't know, man. Like it's getting to be a whole lot more than a coincidence. I'll put it that way.
So it's interesting because to your point, like their field has had a lot of criticism over the years for sure, for exactly what you pointed out. What's interesting to me is, of course, I won't miss an opportunity to point out the double standard, right? Which is when we want to extend the season because it generates more money, that we're not worried about player safety then. And, we do things to change kickoffs and special teams and overtime and preseason games we're reducing and all these things obviously, protecting the quarterbacks and not allowing you to hit defenseless receivers and blindside blocks and all these other things that they do to protect players, right? But we pick and choose when it applies. We're okay with adding extra games, which makes that one more game that they put their bodies in harm's way. That's okay because it generates the league more money. So that's okay. Same thing with these fields. It's okay to play on some of these dumps because, well, that's what they have. But if we were really concerned with player safety, we would make it so that players could play on as safe as field as possible knowing how big, strong, fast, and violent this sport is.
Agreed. And you can't have your stars getting hurt because you didn't want to spend a couple more bucks. Like you just can't have it. I can't tell you how much money the Jets have lost just by people getting hurt with these injuries that didn't have to happen. But hey, who am I? Good word of the week, BK. What we got for the people? What we kicking it off with?
So, we are finally at the part of the season where you're much happier.
Absolutely.
Because we're finally through hockey and college baseball and tennis, as much as you love to break down the French Open and Wimbledon. Now we're finally back to football. Because as you all know, there are two seasons. There's football and there's non-football season. And we are getting very, 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 very close to football season. So with that, we're going to do some predictions. Preview number 1 in the NFL. Zay, I'm going to have you predict, and we'll take turns on this. I'll give you the choice of doing the AFC or NFC first, but give me the division winners for one of those conferences.
I'll kick it off with the AFC. AFC East, Buffalo Bills. AFC North, Baltimore Ravens. The South, the Texans. And I have coming out of the West, Kansas City. I don't think any of those answers should be too surprising. In the AFC, I kind of feel like it's chalk, if you will. NFC, we may have one, maybe two in there that may differ, but there really isn't a team ready to compete with the Bills and the AFCs yet. Give the Patriots another year, we'll be there.
Although Zay, I smiled because I know that you and I go about getting our answers differently. And so I looked at the Vegas odds. And you know who has the second best chance to win the AFC East?
Miami?
Your New England Patriots.
Okay.
At plus 550, they're second.
I'll take it.
I won't spend a lot of time in the AFC because, I mean, to your point, it's chalk. The Bills are a heavy favorite to win the East. The Ravens are the clear-cut favorite in the North. The Browns aren't going to be very good. And the Steelers, I think they are what they are. They're going to be 8-9, 9-8, blah, 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 but they're not going to win the division. So
pretty much.
And the Bengals, it just comes down to, can they fix that anemic defense? Can they keep Joe Burrow healthy? Both of those have been a problem. Plus, you all know that I don't like their coach, Zach Taylor. I would have fired him last year. So you don't have a coach. You don't have a defense. Your ownership can be, we'll just say, inconsistent. And so, yeah, for all those reasons, the Ravens, the Texans are a huge heavy favorite to win the South. And until you beat the champs, or at least the division champs and the conference champs, give me the Chiefs. The Chiefs will win. Although I am curious to see what year 2 of the Fighting Harbaughs will bring. And I'm also curious to see what kind of year the Bo Nix year 2 for the baby Broncos brings as well. Again, not foolish enough to pick them to dethrone the Chiefs, but I am intrigued to see what those two teams look like and can they put some pressure on the Chiefs. Curious to see how that all plays out.
I do think that the Broncos are closer second than what people think they are. But we'll have to see how that works out. But their defense is tailor-made to stop Kansas City.
Their defense is lethal. They actually have a home field advantage It's tough to play in Mile High.
Huge home field
That
advantage.
altitude is a big deal. And then the other part of it is, at some point, I wonder when some of the key players for the Chiefs start to regress. Like, in general, they've held up pretty healthy. Is that going to continue? Now, they've had some injuries here and there, especially at wideout. I get that. But can they hold up? I'm curious to see how that goes. But what are you thinking in the NFC?
NFC East, I have Philly with Washington a close second. In the North, I have Detroit, and I think they'll be the class of that division this year, and it'll be quite obvious that they're the best team in the division. In the South, I have Tampa Bay. In the West, I have the Rams. That's the division that I think we may have a line of demarcation, if you will. Possibly, we'll see. But for me, Philly is still Philly. The same way you feel about Kansas City is the way I feel about Philly. As far as Detroit is concerned, Detroit did well last year with the vast majority of the starters on their defense not actually playing due to injury. So we haven't even seen them at their best as far as the players on the field. Tampa Bay, I think, is the clear-cut best division in the South. You have a couple of teams that have gotten a couple new pieces, and we want to see how they pan out. But Tampa Bay is rolling right now. And in the West, I just kind of feel like the Rams had a year last year that was supposed to be kind of a retooling situation. As long as Stafford can stay healthy, I really feel like they have an offense that is the best in that division, and they have a budding defense. So that's kind of where I'm leaning as far as the West is concerned. What say you, sir?
So in the East, I have the Eagles closely over Washington. I think Dallas has been in a rebuild, and the Giants are just awful. So
Dallas has been in a rebuild since the 90s, but
since 1995. So when they last won the Super Bowl. On a positive note, they can run back the clock 30 years and celebrate this year. But
I'm sure there's a VHS tape out there somewhere with all the highlights.
However, I would like to point out for all you good Washington fans out there, please know that I hope that I'm wrong and that Zay's wrong and that Washington wins this division. I just think the Eagles are still a little bit better than Washington. And so I give the Eagles the advantage, I think. But those two teams are by far the class of the NFC East.
Washington better pay Terry McLaurin, or they might not even be the second best team in the NFC East. So, just saying.
I have the Lions winning the NFC North. Curious to see what the Packers do this year, if they can close the gap and make it a little tighter. Because obviously it was like three juggernaut teams last year with the Lions, Vikings, and Packers. And then obviously the Bears were awful. Mediocre, probably more appropriate than awful. But the other thing is in that division, what do the Vikings look like? They still got their coaching. They still got all the offensive skill position players, all those toys. They still have that defense. The question is, how does life look like with J.J. McCarthy? So we'll see how that goes for them. And then in the NFC South, I like the Buccaneers. Give me Baker and the Bucs. They're going to be the class of the NFC South. And to your point, the West is by far the hardest. Vegas gives a slight advantage to the Niners at plus 150, the Rams plus 175. I think you could honestly make the case for any of these teams, only because Seattle's gone 9-8, I think 2 or 3 years in a row, just missing the playoffs. The Cardinals still have, Kyler and marvelous Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, so they have some toys over there as well. I think the class is still the Rams and the Niners. I expect, despite some losses on their offense, I expect a bounce back year for the Niners. I'm going to give them the slight nod. I also have concerns whether Stafford will stay healthy. And again, I just never know at his age if his back will start to tweak or act up. And again, I know we can say that about any player, that any player can get hurt on any week or any day. But, when you have a past track record of these things, I just feel like that might be the separator. In a very, 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 very close division, give me the Niners, especially knowing they got a chip on their shoulder after how awful it was last year. I think they have something to prove. And we see this all the time in the NFL, where teams go from last to first, or near the bottom to first. If you're going to do it, that's the division to do it, knowing how tight it is.
Now, that brings up a whole nother question that you didn't ask, but I'll answer it anyway. Best chance of worst to first, Jaguars. If things go the right way, the only thing that they need is for their quarterback to actually play like the guy that they thought he was going to be when they drafted him. They have talent at the wide receiver position. They have talent at the running back position. They have talent on defense. They just need sunshine to come out there and do his thing. Like you have two top-notch wide receivers. You have two ball hawks. I mean, like BTJ is the truth. And Hunter may have some of the best ball skills, whether you look at him as a wide receiver or a cornerback, of anybody in the draft. So you don't have any more excuses. You have two running backs that will probably start on most teams in the NFL with Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby. And you got a home run hitter that you just drafted as a rookie who should be able to hold serve by getting his touches in there. So I'm looking at this team, not that they will, but that they have the makeup, if you will. It's almost the same as when Tampa Bay did it a couple years back. They have a coach from that same tree, if you will, that's that same style of offense that gets the most out of their quarterbacks. And they're a go for the gusto type of a situation. So, and you have the two wide receivers that are great at doing just that. So, I mean, they should be much improved regardless of how you slice it. So to the question that you did not ask me, that's the answer.
Well, no, and that's definitely true, because from a betting perspective, the Jags are picked second in that division at plus 300. So Vegas tends to agree with you that if the Texans aren't the answer, it's likely them.
Well, next up, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I can definitely see that happening with them. I do think the Texans are just so loaded across the board. I think it's still their division until
I agree, but one of the biggest weapons for the Texans is Nico Collins, and he's been hurt the last 2 years. If he gets hurt again and Tank Dell is still hurt, now you're depending on rookies that came in this year to hold the boat afloat. So, and CJ has been a little nicked up too. So I'm hoping they can stay healthy. Joe Mixon, no stranger to injury as well. So they're depending on a lot of people that don't seem to be able to stay healthy to stay healthy. That's the only thing, but they're still the favorite because of the talent that they have on the team.
For sure. Well, for those of you football fans out there, we're just getting you started. We're not even close to being done yet with football. We talked about the NFL. We gave our division picks. Now we're going to go to college football. So, and I got great news. because I will actually be off on Saturdays for college football. So I can do game day, tailgating, watch the games, of course, bet on the games. Hello. All those things.
Hey, well, guess what, BK? I got even
What?
better news.
What's that?
I'll be at work, but it'll be the quickest 8 hours of any work day because college football will be on. We're surrounded by TVs. So, yeah, I'll still take it. There's no losing in this situation. And I got Sunday off. So you know, I'll take the NFL, which is I like to follow a little bit closer, if you will. I want to see every single team play as far as the NFL is concerned. If it's a game on, I want to see it. College, if it's a good game on, I want to see it. And if my team is playing, I want to see it. But there'll be some, days where it's just like, really, that's all we got today. So,
No, for sure. But much like you, it reverses, right? Because Sunday it'll be quick for me because I'll be watching. Because they'll have the NFL games on.
Yep, sure will.
All right. So we're going to predict the 4 major conferences. And we're also, for those of you Carolina Gamecock fans out there, we're going to break down what we think the Carolina season looks like. But let's start out in the Big Ten. Who is your pick to win the Big Ten?
I think the Big Ten ends up the same as it did last year. OSU and Oregon at the top, and OSU being the dominant team. And that's not a homer pick because they're my team. They're the champs. The same things we've said about any other champion. To beat a man, you got to beat the man. And although they lost quite a bit as far as talent is concerned, they also gained quite a bit of talent. So I'm comfortable with picking the Buckeyes to repeat as far as being the best. Now, with that being said, they didn't win the Big Ten last year. They won the national championship, but they didn't win the Big Ten. So I do have them winning the Big Ten and fighting for a championship again.
Yeah, anytime you break in a new quarterback, it's always tough. Penn State, if this isn't their year, I don't know that it'll ever be their year. They have everything going for them in terms of quarterback, returning talent, and everything else. The Ducks are the Ducks. They're also breaking in a new quarterback. So the 2 best teams, the Bucks and the Ducks, they're breaking in new quarterbacks. So even though you have loaded teams, you still have to kind of wait to see how that shakes out on the field. I like the Buckeyes to win the Big Ten. They haven't done it for 4 years. So I think that'll be a huge motivating thing for them. The Ducks and the Nittany Lions are going to be 1, 2, and 3. They're the 3 best teams in the Big Ten, I think, by a pretty wide margin. Give me the Buckeyes. They'll win. They'll break the drought and win the Big Ten. Who do you got in the SEC?
I'm gonna run with Georgia because I'm picking if they can stay out of jail, because it seems like every 2 days some Georgia recruit or player is going to jail for something. But as of right now, I think they have the best team in the SEC on paper. They definitely have the best coach in the SEC, possibly the best coach in college football. So yeah, I'm gonna run with them with a very close second going to Texas.
So it's interesting to me because I'm going to give you, this will shock everybody, a long-winded answer. So here it is. My pick is Georgia, and mostly the pick is Georgia because they have the best coach, and I love their quarterback. No more Carson Beck. And I know the Dogs are going to be motivated after back-to-back national titles and then not getting it done last year. So definitely think they're motivated. the other thing about Texas, my question is how really good is Arch Manning? Like, no one knows. So that'll be interesting to see how he plays, especially in a very tough conference. And they also have to play the Buckeyes, so they're going to find out real quick how good he is. So that's something there. The other part of it is, the to me the storylines is the landscape of how many coaches are in trouble or could be in trouble in the SEC. Hugh Freeze at Auburn's in trouble. Sam Pittman's in trouble. Then you have, of course, and I'm drawing a blank, but Billy Napier in Florida, he's in trouble again, so those three are in trouble. Then the question becomes, life after the legend is tough. So, how is
too soon,
how is
BK.
Sterling DeBoer going to be doing after year 2? Because I'm telling you, if they go 8-4 this year, I just know how it is down there. There's going to be some calls. So
okay, I'll disagree with you only for this reason, BK. It doesn't matter anymore. Well, it matters, but not really, as far as what goes on in the regular season. If when you get to the playoffs, you remind us of the Alabama of old, the regular season will be forgiven. I think.
Well, so I agree but disagree. The disagreeing part is if they go 8-4, there is no playoff. And if there is no playoff, that's going to be a problem. The second thing is I happen to have daily conversations at work with a die-hard Bama fan, and I can tell you that she will tell you that if they lose 4 in the regular season, heads will roll. So that it'd be like the Yankees finishing under 500 in the regular season. Like that's literally the equivalent. That can't happen. And the Yankees have had a winning season for like 30 years in a row. So there's no way they're going to tolerate that. Now, I do see your point that because of the playoff and the expanded playoff, if you get in and do what the Buckeyes did, everyone forgot they didn't beat Michigan or win the Big Ten title because they won the Natty. So that heals all wounds. But the Buckeyes also weren't an 8-4 team. So there's that. True. So, but it'll be interesting to see. In the ACC, will it be another Clemson conference championship? Or will it be, and by the way, just for you out there, I have to cringe and my stomach goes into knots when I have to say Clemson. Usually it's the orange team. So, I actually said the name for purposes of the show. Now we're back to the orange team. So will the orange team win the ACC or is there somebody else you got?
I actually have somebody else. I have SMU actually taking another step. They weren't too far behind what the level of talent that we traditionally see in the ACC on a yearly basis. I believe that they kind of put their stamp on the division and put teams on notice that thought that they were the only ones that will be in the fight, that the fight was already over before the season started. I believe don't take this the wrong way, BK, but your Florida States of the world, your Miamis of the world, your Clemsons of the world, you're about to be having a brand new daddy spanking your behind. It's what's about to happen.
So it was funny because I looked at the win totals for the Noles. Guess what the total projection is for the Noles this year?
6 wins.
7.5. And
Okay, I was pretty close.
So me being the smart ass that I am, I'm like, is this for 2 seasons? Because then I'll take the over. But all joking aside, they will be better because they don't have DJU sucking it up like he did last year. So they'll be better just because he's not in uniform. Their schedule is pretty friendly for the most part. And there's no way they'll be that bad 2 years in a row. But what I will say is I think it's funny because great minds think alike, and it's almost like you listened to me all last season when I said, SMU, watch out, they're legit. And for 3 months I said that. And they're like, blah, blah, blah. And they were 1/2 away from winning the ACC title. They played an awful first half. And give Clemson credit, they were terrific in the first half. So it's kind of like the team that's used to being there played a team that wasn't supposed to be there, and they just kind of played like that. But once they came back in the second half, SMU said, we belong, we can do what we need to do. And it was a very tight game after that. So I agree with you. SMU is my dark horse. I think they're the second best team in the ACC, but give me Clemson. I just think if they won the title last year and they didn't play that well as a very flawed team, I can't imagine them being that flawed 2 years in a row. I think, especially with the quarterback coming back, Klubnik, I think they're going to be better, and they'll do just enough to go back-to-back as ACC champs.
Well, I know no one would ever say it, but the way you feel about that game is the way I feel about SMU being in the ACC in general last year. It was a acclimation process that by the time we knew we belonged truly and confidently, it was too late. I think they could have been better than what we saw them being on last year, the same as they could have been better in that game if they had the same first half as they did the second half. That's what I think will be different this year. I don't think you'll see a tale of two teams. I think you're going to see a team that knows that they can compete with the big boys of the division from day one. And that just additional little bit of confidence and swag, if you will, I think will get them over the top. Because talent for talent, player for player, there aren't really any teams in the ACC that are better than them. A couple that are equal, but I don't see any that are just better talent-wise.
Well, and if I were to make the argument for SMU, I think for me, what it comes down to is 3 key things that we see 4 key things. 1, the head coach returned. Number 2, their starting quarterback returned. So you have coach and quarterback coming back. Excuse me. You have coach and quarterback coming back, which is a huge thing. You also have another year of portal and NIL to help build your team as well, and obviously recruiting. So that will help them too. Now that it's easy to recruit knowing that you just were runners up in the ACC, why not us is the mantra that they should use. And the other thing we see all the time, it's a tale as old as time. You have a team that plays with a chip on their shoulder, knowing that they were very, very close to winning the title. They spent their whole offseason stewing about that. Not to mention the awful playoff performance that they had. They're going to come out with their pants on fire. I think they're going to be a dangerous team, to your point. So I definitely like it. Slight edge for me to Clemson, but don't get me wrong, folks. I would love to see SMU win, especially knowing they're plus 600. So I'll take that as well. And last but not least, in the Big 12, who you got to win? And you're going to hate, by the way, my answer.
Interesting. I'm intrigued to know what direction you're going to go in. For me, honestly, the Big 12, really, there should only be 3 quote unquote main conferences at this point, because Big 12 ain't it no more. Like it's just not. But I guess Baylor. I guess Baylor. I don't really like any of the teams in the Big 12, so I mean, but I guess Baylor.
So I'm going to break one of our rules on this show.
Okay.
I'm going to make no prediction. You know why? Because
Cheater.
even Vegas has no idea. There are 7 teams between plus 600 and plus 1,000. So essentially, this early before the season starts, they literally are like any one of these 7 teams can win. If they don't know, how in the hell are we supposed to know? And so, honestly, if you made me pick somebody, I would pick Utah.
Okay. Fair.
Because I think they have the best coach. However, in the conference, to be clear, not overall, so you guys don't write hate emails to me. Okay. Let's calm the express down. But if I have to pick somebody then, but honestly, nobody knows. And if anyone tells you they know, they're absolutely lying because Vegas doesn't know. And Vegas usually has a pretty good idea of what's going on based on the odds. And yes, we take advantage of some of their things, but there's a reason why I have those big, tall buildings, and it's not because it usually doesn't go their way. So, yeah.
You're not wrong, my guy.
And to be honest with you, here's my other thing. Does anybody really care? It's the Big 12. Like, you might as well just become like the AAC.
Should be the Little 12.
Or the Mountain West.
Matter of fact, combine the Big 12 and the Pac-12, and you still have a garbage conference, but at least it'd be a little bit more competitive. I mean, but
you're just increasing the number of trash?
I mean, at least one man's trash is another man's treasure. You get enough trash together, you're going to find something that's worth taking home for most people.
Hold on a minute. Are we doing a sports show or are we doing Hallmark?
Right now, we're doing American Pickers is what we're doing right now.
Like, this is why we can't have nice things. All right. Last but not least, our thoughts and predictions for the South Carolina Gamecocks. The Gamecocks win total 7.5. Before you give your official proclamation, we're going to do one of my favorite things on the show. We're going to play the win-loss game. Here is the Carolina schedule. By the way, we need a sponsor for this, so somebody sponsor us so I can say sponsored by somebody. Just throw that out there. So Carolina opens with Va Tech on a neutral site. Will that be a win or loss?
Win.
Carolina then comes home and plays South Carolina State.
Win.
Then they come home and get Vandy.
Win.
Then they go at Mizzou.
Win.
Then they host Kentucky.
Win.
Then they go at LSU.
Loss.
They host the Sooners.
Win.
They host Bama.
Loss.
At Ole Miss.
Loss.
At A&M.
Win.
Home to Coastal.
Win.
And home to Clemson.
Win.
So when I do this, so you have them over 7.5 for sure.
I think I ended up at 9.
What's that?
I think I had 9 wins.
Yeah. So when I look at this, I have them for sure at 7. So for them to get an over, they have to either win at LSU, beat Bama at home, go win at Ole Miss, win at A&M, or beat Clemson at home. If they win any one of those 5, they're going to go over. I got to tell you, based on that, I don't think they're going to go 0-5. So all they need to do is go 1-4, and they're 8-4. And that schedule clearly is not easy. And, they're also good at, we all know Carolina's football history. They're going to find a way to lose some stupid game, and they're going to win a game that nobody thought that they would win, right?
Yeah,
so they might blow Kentucky at home and win at LSU or beat Bama or something like that.
Yeah.
But I actually like the over.
I was thinking Mizzou might be that game that we were thinking they would win, and they were riding in with the streak and then falter.
No, I think that's a great call out for sure. But yeah, just curious to see what you thought on that. By the way, not an official best bet, nothing like that. But I do like Carolina to go over 7.5. It's going to be close, but I do like them. I think you bring back your coach and quarterback, the schedule, and you start out with a very, very friendly schedule to start.
Yes.
So they're going to rack up a lot of wins. I think they should start out 5-0 before they go to Baton Rouge. I mean, again, if you're 5-0 with 7 games to go, you'll need to go 3-4 to get to 8. You're going to beat Coastal. There was another game we had them in there, or the Missouri-Kentucky game, I think. One of the games we had them in for a win, Kentucky, I think. So they'll be at 7, most likely, unless, like you said, they blow Mizzou, which is possible on the road. But Missouri's not supposed to be very
I have
good.
them as the 4th best team in the SEC this year.
I'm guessing behind Texas, Georgia, and LSU.
Texas, Georgia, Bama.
Okay.
I think they'll lose to LSU, but I don't think that LSU will have a better season than them. Just so we're on the same page.
By the way, he's another coach. He better be careful.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Brian Kelly better be very careful there this year in Baton Rouge.
Agreed.
All right. Well, moving on to the truth and nothing but the truth. 3 categories for us. First, who would you say are the best college football coaches over the past 20 years? Now, obviously, I gave a 20-year window.
So I'm gonna just put this out here, but I would like to say before I put it out.
Am I going to get 17 honorable mentions?
No honorable mentions actually. But the situation is
I almost feel like we failed this segment already.
Sometimes admiration is built from familiarity. And the first 2 coaches I'll throw out are Jim Tressel and Urban Meyer. I believe that they had as a combination of coaches, they had one of the best runs in Ohio State history combined. And I'm combining them because they're both on my list. And neither one of them, neither of their successes would have been halted if not for something stupid. Like, it's just stupid. But so they make up the back end of the list for me. And then I have Saban, Smart, and Harbaugh. So and the reason that I'm going with Harbaugh is he brought a championship to a team that hadn't won one in quite some time. He also brought respect back to a team that hadn't had much of it for a while. He said what his plan was, and he followed it to a T. Maybe the plan included a little bit of if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. But hey, they won a championship, so it is what it is. And to take a storied team that hadn't had very many good tales as of late in turning that around, I think that was sweet. And Saban is smart. I think that would be obvious. But you know what? I do have one honorable mention. I lied.
Okay.
Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll would be my honorable mention. Matter of fact, I'm gonna take Jim Tressel off, and Jim Tressel is not my honorable mention, and I'm gonna put Pete Carroll on that list.
So I have 5 as mine. Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, Urban Meyer, Jim Harbaugh, and Big Game Bob Stoops. If you made me pick an honorable mention, I would actually pick Chris Peterson. He did a hell of a job at Boise State.
And Washington, yeah.
He did a really good job at Washington. The man can coach. And so, again, not in the same stratosphere of the 5 that I made that were in the top 5. But if you're looking for somebody that's not on that same level, but still tremendously good, Chris Peterson is a hell of a coach. So that would be
which is why I hope he's not actually on a hot seat, because I think if you give him, first of all, I don't think there's a hire out there that will heads and shoulders be better than him, that won't need as much time to acclimate as he may need before he comes into his own. So I kind of feel like you just be starting over a process that would have ended up being the same. So that's one of the reasons why I hope he's not on the hot seat. But yeah, what we got up next?
Well, we talked about what I consider the college football GOAT a little bit earlier, Nick Saban. And there was some talk by his former quarterback on a podcast, Greg McElroy, about, according to some sources very, very close to him, that Saban will return to college football coaching.
Well, I'll tell you this. His former pupil may be pretty close to him. But you know who's closer? His daughter. And his daughter said, ain't no way he coming back. So I'm going to roll with her. Should he come back? Nope. When you're the GOAT of anything, what does coming back get you? You don't need money. You don't need to finish that last. He's not in a Bill Belichick situation. He has nothing to prove. You're the undisputed GOAT. If you want to coach, go coach Pee Wee League. Go coach your grandkids, or someone else's kids who are close to you. But if you're bored, but you have nothing to prove. So I think sometimes you can do yourself a disservice by being greedy. And in this instance, greed has nothing to do with money. It has everything to do with taking up one of very few spots that are available for whoever is coming behind you. Like, again, if you're bored, there are plenty of kids that need tutelage. Hell, if you're bored, go back to the NFL. Leave college alone. And I say NFL because you'd actually have something to prove there. You have nothing to prove in college at all.
I have a plea. So first, before I beg.
But if you're going to come back, fire Ryan Day and go coach Ohio State. That's the only way I want you back.
Before I beg and plead and moan and whine, I will say that I agree. He has nothing left to prove. Here's the thing. And I didn't even think about the daughter case, which is spot on. But the whole reason why he left was because he got tired of NIL in the portal. Well, that hasn't changed. So why would he come back to the same shit show he left? That doesn't make any sense.
But has it, BK? He just had an executive order from one of his buddies. You know, Trump and Saban are supposed to be. I won't say close. I don't know if they're not friends. They have a working relationship of some sort. I don't know if this changed it. They may have affected anything.
But you know where Trump lives usually is in Florida, right?
Yep.
And I can definitely make the case that a top 10 job in the country could easily be had. Nick Saban, please come to Tallahassee.
No.
Here's why.
Nobody's coming to no.
Here's why. Wait, but no, you'll like this. Listen. So not only do I get the GOAT to come to Tallahassee and the Knowles are going to be great again, but then they're going to beat the crap out of Clemson every year like it used to be. And then the second thing is I get to watch Belichick versus Saban every year.
Okay, the last thing you just put out there might be a decent point. Other than that, no one wants to see Saban in Florida State. Like you know how long it would take for him to build up a pipeline there? Like it's no. Just no.
Honestly, by the second year they'd be there. Because think about it.
No.
It was 2 years ago that they went undefeated. So it's not like, remember, people think like just because last year was so bad, and it was historic.
Wait, BK. Let's not act like that undefeated season they were going up against world beaters now.
Again, you can only play the teams you're scheduled.
Well, this is true. I give you that for sure.
I mean, listen, no one will ever say that the ACC is a competent football conference at this point. However, I am going to say that they were 13-0 and they won the regular season. They won undefeated the regular season and they won their conference championship. So at the end of the day, they were undefeated. Now, listen, I get it. It wasn't the Big Ten or the SEC. I'm well aware. But they're in that conference, even though none of us want them to be there. And they went undefeated in said garbage conference. What are they supposed to do?
Not make the playoffs when it was only 4 teams, even though they were undefeated because everybody knew they weren't that good.
Anyways.
That was one of those Jordan versus LeBron faces.
Guys, Zay knows that I'm in a very, very good mood this week. And he's like, hey, how can I pee on DK's Cheerios today? And he found it.
Hey, I'm just saying, man. I mean, I would go to a school that had never done anything before I went to Florida State. Honestly, like that, because of the expectations. Like I don't know, man. Just stay home. I don't even want to have this conversation. Just stay home. That's what you should do, Nick Saban. Just stay home.
Last but not least, wrapping up the truth. What AL and NL teams do you think will be the most aggressive at the deadline?
I'm going to be honest with you, BK. I punted this question, but I have an answer. I'm going to tell you what I mean. And I'm going to tell you what. It was tantamount to a tantrum because the team that should be the most active is the Yankees, and they won't be. And it pissed me off just to think about it. So that's what should happen, and what will happen will undoubtedly be 2 completely different things. But a team that needs the most, if they actually want to compete for a championship, versus just being able to say it was another year that we made the playoffs and maybe won a round and then went back home to not having a trophy because we aren't close to the best teams in MLB right now. It should be the Yankees. It should be.
I think in the AL, the team that'll be the most aggressive is the Yankees.
Really?
And they will be. They will be because Cashman is normally he gives what I like to call the senator answers. We'll do our best to improve and blah, blah, blah. And if he's come out and said, we are going to be all in very aggressive at the trade deadline. And it's been years since I've heard him say that. So, and knowing where they are in the standings, that the Blue Jays passed them up and now they're fighting they're the leaders in the wild card, but now a few games back for the division. Like they got to make a move. So they got to target third base, starting pitching, and help with some bullpen and stuff. But specifically need a third baseman. Suarez of the Diamondbacks would be the lead rent. He'd be a rental, so he would come cheap or cheaper in terms of prospects or players. And obviously, they need a starter because they lost Cole before the season. Schmidt's out. They do get Luis Heel back, the reigning Rookie of the Year. So he'll be back here shortly to help them for the stretch run, which is a big addition because that's a move that they get immediate help and they don't have to do anything with their roster to make that happen. They just plug him in and it's an improvement. Their bullpen's a lot better lately because Devin Williams, their closer, has been a lot better. Luke Weaver's healthy. So they're doing a little bit better, although they could use another velo guy out of the bullpen to help there. Somebody that actually throws 100 because most of their pen average is 93, which is not very high in today's baseball, modern baseball. So they need somebody that can hit the gun. But I think in the NL, the team that's going to be the most aggressive is the team that's always the most aggressive, the Dodgers. They're going to find some way to.
So let me tell you, in the NL, who should be. I agree with you about the Dodgers, but a team that I don't think they knew that they would be as good as they are right now. If you're the Giants, why wouldn't you go all in right now and attempt to maximize your positioning? I just feel like when you're having one of those anything can happen years, why not maximize the chances of something special happening? And that's kind of where I feel where the Giants are right now. We know the Dodgers are the cream of the crop in the NL. We know they're going to spend the most money in the NL. So when these other teams kind of get that synergy year, if you will, which is kind of what the Giants feel like they're having, although they're actually still behind San Diego. San Diego, we kind of knew would be up there based on a few different factors. But if not now, when? Like, if you're the Giants, like, you don't have people just chomping at the bit to join you in most situations. So if not now, when is how I look at it as far as San Francisco is concerned. But I digress. Go on.
Well, that wraps up our truth, but nothing but the truth. Now we get to move on to your personal favorite part of the show. In this week's it's usually the 5 something random of something. This week, it's the top 5 least favorite things about being an adult.
BK, I got to tell you, when I saw this topic, I was immediately aggravated as I thought about the things that made being an adult difficult, and I couldn't wait to talk about them. So yeah, top 5 all-time least favorite things about being an adult. What's your number 5, BK?
Number 5. Cleaning the house. Now, thankfully, I have someone that does that, but which is why I still list it, but it's there because, yeah. No, thank you.
But you know what, BK? I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to veto that answer. I'm going to tell you why. That sucks as a kid, too. So, I'm just saying, like, it's not like when you turn 18, it's peaches and cream to clean up at that point.
No, that's true. But it definitely sucks as an adult. Especially because as a kid, you're just cleaning up usually after your stuff. As an adult, especially if you're married with kids, you have to clean up after everything, which is way worse.
Not mad at it. Number 5 for me.
5?
I think I went more philosophical with several of my answers.
This is what
My
happens
number
when you get a
5
week
is
off.
you have time to think, BK. And number 5 for me is no one cares. As an adult male, good luck finding a shoulder to cry on because no one cares. Buckle up, Buttercup. Do better. Like this is the best you're gonna get from most people, other than the people that you're supposed to be able to. You can still cry on mom's shoulder. Wifey's shoulder, depending if you got a good one. But if you don't have a good one, you can't even cry on her shoulder. So I'm just saying, like, no one cares. Do better. Worse things have happened to better people. Make better decisions. It's a cold world out there, especially for men, because there aren't any programs to help us out. There's no, you fall down, you're just gonna be down until you decide to get back up. There's no one that's going to be attempting to assist you. So yeah, no one cares is my number 5. What you got for number 4, BK?
Something else that I don't do, yard work.
Oh God.
And think about it. We live in the South where there's 2 seasons, warm and really hot. There is nothing appealing about going, and I know there's people I work with that find it really relaxing. That'll never be me. I'm happy to let someone else do it while I sit in the AC or play pickleball.
BK, I did about 6 hours of yard work on Wednesday, and I'm feeling it today. But yeah, it's a necessary evil. But I can wholeheartedly agree with you there. Number 4 for me, time speeds up. That's one thing about adulting, if you will, that I like the least. And I have a theory for why it is that time speeds up as an adult, because you stop living day to day as you did when you were a kid, and you start living month to month, because that's when the bills come around. And I swear a mortgage seems like it comes around every 2 weeks, but it's only once every 30 days. And once that happens 12 times, a whole year is gone. Versus when you were a kid, it was like, dang, I can't wait for Friday. Or like you literally live day to day versus it being a month to month sort of a ordeal, if you will. Time speeds up. And that's one of the reasons, one of my hypotheses as to why.
So that was actually my number 3.
Okay. Interesting.
And my theory about that is, see, you're not the only one philosophical, and I didn't have the week off. See what I did there? But notice I waited till you took a drink too, just in case I was going to get some haterade over there. But
trying to make me choke, I see.
But that being said, the reason why I think time flies is because as a kid, your responsibilities are next to zero, right? Other than school, you have the whole day to play. So it feels like the days take forever. But as an adult, think about how your days are spent. You spent 7-ish hours sleeping, right? You spend 9 hours a day working. So that's 16 hours, which gives you 8 hours a day to do whatever else you're going to do, which is, things around the house, adulting chores, whether it's groceries, cooking, cleaning, yard work, running the kids around. Like, your day goes by so fast, like you just don't have that anymore. So the time just flies, and it's like a rat race that you're never winning. And so I think that's why it just goes so fast.
I can see it. Number 3 for me, no excuses. No one cares about your why. Just did you get it done? There are no excuses as an adult. As a kid, you can come up with a plethora of excuses that, whether they're believed or accepted or not, is one thing. But at least they're heard. At least people actually want to hear what your logic and reasoning is. As an adult, it's did you or didn't you? but no excuse either way. And I kind of miss excuses. Like
His email address is
I'm just saying, I kind of miss being able to have a good old excuse and move on with life.
Hey,
we tell the truth on this show, so just being honest. Number two for you.
Number 2, health concerns. Not that kids can't have very serious and horrible things happen health-wise, right?
Yeah.
But as you get older, you start to realize you're never promised anything beyond today. And see, look at this. Team philosophical today, Zay. But you're never promised anything beyond today. And so, health concerns creep up, and here's my usual weekly plug to Dad. But Dad always says, the most important thing is your health. Without it, you have nothing.
Facts.
And so health concerns is number 2, because as you get older, there are less days that you feel great.
You want to know how important health is? Ask a person, do they want $100 million? And after they tell you yes, ask them, would they be willing to have a heart attack tomorrow for it? Gives you a completely different perspective. Money don't mean that much if you're not going to be around to spend it. So,
correct.
Yeah, for sure.
That part.
For me, number 2, constant decision making. Not only decision making, but decisions that affect so many other people in several different ways. I guess it almost that kind of lends itself even to the no excuses part. Like all of your decisions, whether they be good, bad, or indifferent, they don't just fall on you anymore. Like even if you don't necessarily have like the wife and kids situation, whatever the case is, mess around and do something stupid to see how it affects your mom and dad. Mess around and do something stupid to see how it affects your brother and sister, which then affects your nieces and nephews, like it's a domino effect. Like once you get to a certain point of who you affect and how that affects everyone around them. So just the constant decision making and having to be okay with the fact that if this isn't the right decision, it's not just on me. When you're a quote unquote kid, I'll say, or young adult in most situations, you can make poor decisions because worst case scenario, life just sucks for you for a little while. It don't quite hit the same when you got multiple children and a spouse that your poor decision will affect all of them negatively. So,
Agreed.
Yeah, that's why I'm at number 1 for you, sir.
Bills.
Ah,
Stupid bills.
we both had the same number 1.
Stupid bills.
Man, BK, let me tell you something. There are bills for things that I didn't even know could be billed when I was a kid. Like, it's some things shouldn't cost what they cost, and other things shouldn't cost you anything at all. Like, I don't know. Like it's always something. And I'm gonna tell you what's worse than bills, BK. I'm gonna change my number 1 to unexpected bills. Those are worse than bills. When something just came out of nowhere. Oh, the refrigerator went out. Oh, you just blew a tire. Oh, the check engine light just came on. Oh, the septic tank is backing up. I don't know, whatever it is, but the unexpected stuff. If I know it's coming, it can't hurt me but so bad, even if it is painful, because I knew it was happening. But it's the sucker punch that's likely to knock you out. It's the one you didn't see coming. So I'm gonna go with unexpected bills. So I'll see your bills and I'll raise you unexpected bills.
This was Family Feud. I'd say good answer. We take it.
And that wraps up our top 5 all-time least favorite things about being an adult. And with that being said, we go to the part of the show that will either make us some money or save us from ourselves. What will it be this week with BK's Best Bets?
So I'm going to bundle my best bet section with what used to be our rant. So, because you know me, I like to occasionally break the rules here on the show. Some of us have 12 honorable mentions and 13 rants, and some of us bend the rules a little bit in other ways. So, in this case,
I just have a sneaky suspicion that you're talking about me. I don't have proof, but I'm just sneaky suspicion. That's all. That's all.
What I will say is I can either confirm or deny those allegations. What I will say is we're going to save you from yourselves this week. There is nothing on tap to bet on this week of any value. Obviously, you can find things, but we're going to go ahead and keep our bankroll moving, stack those bills, count that change. We are going to move along till next week. No best bets. But since I don't have a rant, I'm actually going to take this moment to give a shout out, because I know you guys don't know this because we were on a sabbatical last week, but I had a pickleball tournament in Augusta last weekend, and my mixed doubles partner and I went undefeated and won gold. And we talk about on this show all the time how hard it is to win. And we were behind 5 of the 6 matches we played.
Oh, wow.
And won them all. And won them going away. And since I didn't get permission beforehand, I won't use any names. But I wanted to give a special shout out to my partner in crime. She was absolutely amazing on Sunday. And the biggest reason that we took home gold, some of the clips you can see on my Instagram. You want to go ahead and check that out as well. A little shameless plug where you see some points here or there. But I know in the world there's always negative things that happen. Just wanted to give credit where credit is due. A special shout out for my partner in crime and us taking home gold this weekend in Augusta. The first of many golds, I can tell you that.
And that will about wrap it up for us for this week. We'll be back to you again on next week. And as we rapidly approach our favorite time of year, which is football time of year, make sure you stay close, because we will be putting money in your pockets and entertainment for all. But remember, above all else, always tell the truth.
And nothing but the truth.
We out.
Later, y'all.